Start.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Ejaz Sir, President CEO Club Pakistan. We represent the think tank of Pakistan. We publish books, top 100 CEOs and diplomats of Pakistan, and especially the magazine CEO Today. We have privileged today. We have a exclusive talk and conversation regarding trade, regarding investment, and regarding education, culture, and a lot of things to enlighten Pakistani people from Belgium. So we have a privilege today. We are sitting with the Charles Delogne, who is the ambassador, His Excellency, the ambassador of Belgium in Islamabad. Sir, thank you very much for coffee, for your time, for your presence, and your smiling face.
Thank you. You are very welcome.
Sir, His Excellency, share with us in a nutshell about Belgium, the special areas where Pakistani people, Pakistani business leaders, Pakistani importers and exporters, they can know about Belgium. How do you say?
That's a short question, but a response that can be very long. Belgium hosts the institutions of the European Union, of NATO, and also from the World Customs Organization. So there is a big international presence in Belgium, and Pakistan also has an embassy there. We have established diplomatic relations 76 years ago, now in 47. So we were among the first countries to recognize the Pakistani independence. Since then, a lot of things have been done thanks to the relations and the men and the women who supported this bilateral relation. Politicians, diplomats, business people, academicians, ordinary citizens, a lot of people. It is firstly a human experience.
Oh, excellent. Brussels, you know, the center of the Europe, especially the European Union. So enlighten us, what kind of the areas where you think there's a greater opportunities for investments either side, from Pakistan to Belgium and Belgium to Pakistan? Still, you think because of your a lot of years, 3 years in Pakistan, and a lot of global experience, where we can encash these opportunities, bridging this gap, and through this conversation, people will then understand these opportunities. How would you say?
Well, there are two things. First of all, trade. For its size, Belgium is rather a big trade partner of Pakistan. We do not belong to the G20, which is the group which unites the 20 countries with the highest GDP in the world. But we are the 10th partner of Pakistan. It means that we are playing above our category for trade. It's a volume of about 1 billion euros, and it's balanced 50-50. So we do not contribute to the payment progress of Pakistan for the time being. The second element is investment. For that, you need to fulfill some conditions. I think personally that the recommendations of the International Financial Institution, IMF, World Bank, Asian Bank, those recommendations must be implemented. Of course, for Pakistani government, some decisions can be politically difficult to implement, but that's life. But you can't attract business people in a country where, for the time being, due to the payment crisis, you cannot repatriate your profits, for instance. This was the situation last year. I understand now that the macroeconomic situation of Pakistan improves, although it remains very fragile. But again, repatriation of profit is something possible now today. So it means that the payment crisis somehow is easing, and that's a good news. But the efforts must go on, and that's why structural reforms need to be implemented in this country in order to attract investment and lasting investment.
Sir, my next question is regarding the human. Pakistan is a population, is a very young desert world. Benefit from this young population regarding especially artificial intelligence, especially in the information technology, IT sector, where we can get benefit Belgium from Pakistan. This asset, Pakistan talking about the minerals, mines, they're good, but the real asset is the human beings.
I think the interest of every country is to avoid brain drain. I'm hearing frequently this proposal that Pakistan could send its young people to foreign countries. Personally, I am not persuaded by that. I think that the Pakistani skills must stay in Pakistan and serve their country. Of course, we are an aging population in Belgium, like like other European countries. In some sectors, we have full employment, so workforce is elsewhere. There, it's sometimes possible, and we have bilateral talks about that. But so far, it hasn't come to concrete results.
Okay. Now, apart from that, what opportunities do you think Pakistani people? You're talking about the payment issues, the challenges regarding, but other things regarding, especially mines and minerals and the pharmaceutical, the agriculture, and the energy, where Belgium can support Pakistan in these areas, because you are superior in technology in these areas. How do you say?
Recently, Pakistan set up the Special Council to facilitate the investment, not only foreign investment, but I suppose also domestic investment, and the authorities identified 4 growth sectors. I think that's good that a country has a development strategy. I think the main advantage for Pakistan is to have a population which is resilient, which need probably to be more educated. I think the priority should be put on education, and then you have a market of about 250 million inhabitants. That's a good asset, but there is a long work ahead. But the authorities must not be discouraged by the challenges. There are very interesting resources, also human resources in this country, and so we must stay confident.
What do you think, that you talked about education? What do you think Pakistani people, students, especially young people, very resilient nation, as you told earlier, what kind of the competence, the skill level, Pakistani youngsters, Pakistani people should learn, should grow to really add value to the European countries, especially to Belgium?
I think education is needed in all sectors. I don't have a special sector in mind, but statistics which remain worrying are the illiteracy rate in Pakistan. This is really something the government must tackle in this country. And it is not only the responsibility of the government, it's also the responsibility of parents. But when the parents themselves did not frequent school, they don't really see the necessity to send their children to school. So that's a big challenge. But illiteracy here is a problem, while you see that even people who cannot read can be hard workers, and they are not idiots because they are illiterated. People can be clever, even illiterated, but nevertheless it's necessary.
One important question I will like to ask His Excellencies regarding the next 5 years trajectory of both the countries' bilateral trade and relationships, especially the areas, the priority areas. His Excellency, please mention next 5 years. And second, the volume of Pakistan trade, when it will reach to the crossing the $1 billion barrier, sir.
For us, trade policy is conducted by the European Commission. So for us, the main instrument to promote bilateral trade is GSP+. The regulation was adopted in 2013, entered in force, I think, in 2014. The regulation came to an end last year, but it was extended. And thanks to the efforts of the Belgian presidency of the European Union, the new regulation will be probably adopted before the 4 years extension. If you look at the statistics since this GSP agreement came into force, Pakistan is the main beneficiary of the GSP Plus regulation among the 8 countries that adhere to that instrument, and the volume of trade between the European Union and Pakistan increased dramatically. Now, what Pakistan exports is mainly, as far as Belgium is concerned, textile and also food products, rice. This export should be more diverse, but that's a question of time. What is interesting to point out with this GSP Plus regulation is that almost all exports from Pakistan to the European Union enter into the European market free of import taxes, and that's something very important.
Which means next 5 years you have a big hope. It will double up this trade.
I think the trend will go on, but the trade policy is not a competence of the member states, so not a competence of Belgium, but a competence of the European Union, of the European Commission more specifically.
Okay, now coming to the Pakistan, you are just stay in Pakistan almost 3 years. What are the 2-3 areas you really liked about Pakistan? Because people have different perception before coming to Pakistan because of the media negativity, and they come to Pakistan, they meet with people, they discover the northern areas, the nature, the beauty, the culture. What is your take on Pakistan?
I'm living in Islamabad, a very comfortable city, although very hot now. But I like to visit the northern area because the landscapes are fabulous there. But I also like to be with my wife in Lahore, the cultural capital of the country, and also in Karachi, although the climate can be very wet and very hot there. But that's the capital, the economic capital of the country, and you feel a dynamism there. It is a very interesting city as well.
Energy. A lot of hospitality.
Hospitality, this is something you find everywhere in Pakistan, sometimes with different accents, but it's always the same kindness. I will leave Pakistan soon, definitely, unfortunately, after 2 years. And one thing I will always remember is the kindness of people. They are constantly smiling, and they try to always do their best to make you happy. And that's why we will miss the Pakistani people. For sure.
You miss this Pakistan, the culture, the people.
There are some areas in Pakistan we haven't visited yet, and that will be an excellent pretext to come back.
Okay. On 8th, if you happen to be in Pakistan or might be your newcomer, we have 8th August, we have the CEOs Summit, 500 global CEOs will be participating in Serena Hotel. I'm just have one segment for diplomats, the cultural diplomacy. Apart from the business diplomacy, the CEOs and the diplomats on ramp. They will walk on the ramp with the spouses. You will be here in Islam?
No. I will. I leave Pakistan the 8th of July.
8th of July.
But speaking about cultural policy, if you look at Belgium, it's a small country, 30,000 square kilometers, and a country where 3 languages are spoken.
3 languages?
3 languages, Dutch, French, and a small minority also speaks German. So it means that we have 3 ministries of culture.
3 ministries?
3 ministries of culture.
Dutch, French?
Exactly. Somehow the resources are divided, and this is not a good news for a diplomat, because in most of our embassies, and it's also the case of my embassy here in Pakistan, we have no cultural section.
Cultural section.
And usually culture for an embassy is a great outreach instrument.
Yes.
We don't have that.
Yes.
But with some creativity, some sense of opportunism as well, you can do something. And we managed to do that. Last year, we wanted to celebrate the 75th anniversary of our bilateral relations, and we managed to organize several cultural events during 1 week, the Belgian Week 2023. So a Belgian singer came here, performed with Pakistani musicians. We printed a book in Urdu of theater plays. Theater plays written by a Nobel Prize.
Wow.
What is interesting, the book was translated by one of the collaborators here in the embassy. And so the book has a foreword of the ambassador, but also the logo of the 75th anniversary.
Excellent.
We also organize a photo exhibition, so several activities.
Different activities just to promote the image, the soft image of both the countries.
Yes, but not only promote the Belgian image, but also to organize cultural events in partnership with Pakistani artists to underline and to highlight the bilateral dimension of this cultural week.
Sir, Belgian chocolates, His Excellencies, are one of the top in the world. What do you say about your eateries and chocolateries, and what do you recommend? Why they are different from others?
Belgian Chocolate is a flagship of Belgian culinary art, but it's not the only one. We also have beer. It would not be very popular here in Pakistan, although there is a brewery not far from Islamabad. Beer, French fries. We for sure belong to the French culinary tradition, but with a Belgian creativity. So if you go to Brussels, you will be amazed by the quality of restaurants, and quality does not mean that they are expensive. But chocolate, yes, this is a Belgian specialty. Unfortunately, you need to respect strict conditions to export chocolate, and this is linked to the fact that in hot climates, in countries where weather is usually hot, you must be very, very careful with the conservation conditions. If your chocolate smelled, then it ruins not only your chocolate, but also its quality and also the reputation of the Belgian producers.
His Excellency, can you also enlighten us regarding the educational excellence, especially in science and technology, and Pakistani students can benefit from this universities, because people are more tilted Pakistan towards going to the UK and other countries, USA. Why not Belgium as a destination for learning higher skills and educations?
I will have to contradict you and to correct a little bit. Last year, this embassy issued 300 long-term visa to Pakistani students.
300?
300 in 1 year. So you can imagine students who will stay 3, 4, 5 years in Belgium to study. It's a lot of people, and those people, once they come back, they are the best ambassadors for bilateral relations. Why do we have so many students? First of all, because the Higher Education Commission signed agreements with 3 Belgian universities.
Okay.
So the Belgian government does not pay scholarships to Pakistani students, but the Higher Education Commission does.
Okay.
And so many students opt for Belgian universities. And the other flow, if I may say so, the European Union set up Erasmus Mundi. Erasmus program was created in 1985 and was an exchange program of students between the EU member states. Erasmus Mundus is an extension of that program open to non-EU member states. And Pakistan is the main beneficiary of this program, which is valid worldwide, and the majority of Pakistani students choose Belgian universities.
Excellent, sir. Now, the last part of my today's questions, just a little one-liner questions for Diplomat. The difficult decision in your life till now?
The difficult
decisions you made in your life?
I don't remember a particular decision. Of course, in a long career, 31 years, you are sometimes obliged to take difficult, tough decisions. But in Pakistan, where I've been posted for 2 years, I never had to take such a decision. Maybe that's because I'm getting older and wisdom
You're looking
slowly
young,
comes.
Sir. You're looking young.
Thank you very much. not that I'm not so young anymore. But yes, tough decisions sometimes you have to take. It depends a little bit about the circumstances, but I didn't have to take tough decisions in a recent past. So let's hope it will go on.
This question was asked from the Churchill, from the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He said, my difficult decision is to convince my wife to marry with me.
No, in my case, it was not that difficult.
Not difficult.
And as far as Churchill is concerned, it was probably an excellent decision because it was an excellent couple.
Excellent. And we pray for the next years happiness.
Thank you very much.
So, your favorite books, because diplomats read a lot of books.
That's true.
So 1, 2, 3 books you really close to your heart.
It's difficult to say something concrete for your auditors or your spectators. I'm a French-speaking Belgian.
Okay.
So most of the time I read French books, coming from the French literature or
so very rich
the Belgian French-speaking authors. But I also read in Dutch. I read in English, I read in Portuguese as well. I try to diversify a little bit my lecture.
Wow.
So instead of speaking about titles and authors, which will not be very eloquent for your public, I would prefer to mention one specific author who is Austrian, who was born in Austria at that time, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, Stefan Zweig. He was a Jewish, but a non-practicing Jewish, and during the 30s he fled Austria for Brazil, a country where I have posted also, where he died committing suicide in 1941. That's the trajectory of this author. I'm speaking about him because he wrote excellent biographies.
Okay.
And biographies not only of his compatriots but also of other people. And as a author, as a writer, he had this capacity to enter into the cultural matrix of the person he was describing the biography. So it's a remarkable biographer, and I think read Stefan Zweig is an interesting exercise for all citizens of the world.
Whenever I will be going to Belgium, once I will finding a good books on the shelf, I will find sometime, I will find the biography or His Excellency Mr. Charles.
Thank you very much. I don't know if this is a publication word.
Your memories, your moments, your cherishes, your writing. Any plan to write a book?
No, I can assure you I will not write my memories. Some colleagues try to do that sometimes, but it's not always very interesting, I must say.
Sir, you are a smiling face. What's your idea of happiness?
My idea of happiness is just to make people happy around me, to have people growing up around me. And I try to do that every day where I can. This is a prospective approach of life. You don't know what the future is. We don't know our destiny, but for sure we can do so that tomorrow will be a little bit better than today. And if everybody does that, then we can only hand over a better world to our children and to the next generations.
3 qualities of a very effective diplomat for the young diplomats.
To love people, to remember that you are the guest in a country, so it means that you also have to respect sovereignty of the country. These are the 3 main qualities, but you can summarize that in only one word: empathy.
Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes of others.
Try to be in the skin of your interlocutor, to understand what he feels, what he thinks, and how, if you are able to do that, and sometimes it's difficult, but if you are able to do that, try to make so that the relationship be fruitful.
Emotional intelligence is very underrated because people talk about the IQ rather than EQ. What is importance for a diplomat for having a high EQ, emotional intelligence quotient?
The emotional quotient is important. It is one of the tasks of a diplomat to explain the realities of the country he's posted in, to explain the realities to his own authorities. And this requires that the diplomat must be able to understand the rationale behind some narratives and behind some actions. You must explain that, and that's why governments for centuries now are sending diplomats abroad just to avoid misunderstandings, misinterpretations, etc. So emotional quotient is the instrument that helps you to be able to understand people and to contribute to mutual understanding as well.
Success in 3 key words, lines, phrases. Success is a very lousy word.
It is a difficult word, and if I have to speak about myself, I prefer to let the people who are tasked to assess me to say if I am successful or not. The only thing I can say after 2 years spent in Pakistan was that I am a very lucky diplomat, because a lot of things happened during my tenure.
Yes.
We had 2 meetings at the highest level between our prime ministers. We had 4 meetings between our ministers of foreign affairs. We had a visit of a parliamentary delegation here, because the friendship group between our 2 parliaments is very dynamic. And this is not just because of the presence of an ambassador, but the tradition exists. We organized the Belgian Week; it was a success. So a very substantial tenure in 2 years. And if I compare with some colleagues representing countries more or less of the same size as Belgium, I feel privileged.
Second last question regarding women empowerment, because we are lagging behind as compared to Belgium. So what is your take on women empowerment for economic development?
Women empowerment is a never-ending fight, even in Belgium. In my career, I served as a diplomatic advisor of a deputy prime minister, who was also minister for equal opportunities. And in a country like Belgium, there is still a lot of work ahead of us, just to make sure that for the same job, the same anciennity, the same qualifications, that the salaries between women and men, that the salaries are equal. Just to give an example, to open the boards of companies more to women. This is something we do not do enough. To give some examples, if you look at the composition of our parliaments, normally we should have 50-50, and that's not the case. So there are still a lot of things to do. The question is then to decide, do we work on awareness, and that requires time, but then you have an ownership of the people, or do we impose quotas? And this is an open discussion, and every country has to make progress according to its own culture and with its own constraint. My message would simply consist of saying to the Pakistani, don't be afraid of women empowerment. It brings a lot of added value to social life, to economic life, etc. Personally, I served several times women, this deputy prime minister, a DG, and the collaboration was perfect and very, very fruitful, but built on mutual respect.
True. So last question regarding the message of optimism, message of hope for the people of Pakistan. What is your optimism about Pakistan?
I think that the Pakistani have good reason to be optimistic. This is not a country I see with depressed citizens. I think that Pakistan has a lot of potential because it also has a lot of resource. And I don't think too much about natural resource. I've been posted in many countries where natural resources were extremely abundant, but in fact, when you start to exploit those resources, it only makes one small minority of people extremely rich, and it creates an unequal society. In Belgium, we have no natural resource. So we have to work essentially with foreign trade and transformation of products. I think that's a good way for a country to diversify and to promote social progress, but also to create an equal society. So I think that Pakistan has the resource to move towards that goal.
Sir, it is up to you, like or not. The interview is done, but the question up to you, leaving you answer this question. Europe is passing through a very recession time because of the Ukrainian impact of Ukraine conflict and Russian conflict. Where do you see the impact on Europe, especially where do you see the end of the tunnel, the light? The conflict will end.
Difficult to say. We are extremely worried in Belgium because we are a small country. We were the battlefield of Europe for centuries, and with like-minded countries of the same size, like the Netherlands, like Luxembourg, countries which constitute the Benelux before the end of the Second World War, we started to be of the opinion that multilateralism was the best way to consolidate peace everywhere.
Okay.
When you look at the war in Ukraine, it's a blatant breach of international law. In the international law, you have the principle of sovereignty, you have the principle of borders intangibility, and those principles were violated in Europe, and so again, we have war on our territory. To give you an idea, the Ukrainian border is 1,500 kilometers far from Brussels. It's less than the distance between Islamabad and Karachi, for instance. Europe is a very small continent. The European integration is a wonderful achievement because it has made war something unthinkable between 27 countries which all have a history of massacres, of war, etc.
True.
So my hope is that at a certain moment common sense will again prevail.
Okay.
But for the time being, unfortunately, I don't see any political space between Russia and Ukraine for starting negotiations. As a diplomat, we can, of course, identify some issues that should be discussed in a peace settlement, armaments control, nuclear proliferation, etc., etc. But as a matter of principle, I don't see an agreement possible on a border change by force. If we accept that, we open the Pandora box, not only in Europe, where we had constant territorial conflicts in the past, but also on a continent like Africa. In my career, I served for 9 years in Africa, and if you look at the principle the African countries are the most attached, it's territorial integrity. Why? Because all those countries became independent in the 60s. They inherited from colonial borders, and they know that if there is a precedent created on border change by force, it's opening the Pandora box, and it's pushing this continent with its huge population in a series of unending war. This is something mankind cannot afford. Simply that.
And do you think, are you happy with satisfied with the role of NATO backed by USA in resolving this conflict?
NATO as an organization is not involved in this conflict. NATO is a defensive alliance, and by the way, the Belgian embassy represents NATO here in Islamabad.
Yes.
In NATO, you have military capacities, a political control on those capacities. You have a system of command, and all the processes which exist are not activated. You have no NATO troop in Ukraine, but you have NATO members which help Ukraine, and Belgium is one of those countries.
Especially resolving the issue, resolving the conflict in the future?
For the moment, the NATO countries provide Ukraine with armaments,
yes,
ammunition,
assistance,
and training. In the future, will have after peace will have been restored, inshallah. Then we'll have to think about reconstruction.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Really nice to talk to you. Bahut shukriya. Thank you very much.
Shukriya.